Welcome back. So today we're going to be working on stem and leaf plots. It's a very small concept. It's usually part of a bigger package deal like finding averages, mean, median, mode, and all that kind of stuff. But I'm just going to separate all of that and I'm going to do them all in different segments. So this one's going to be about stem and leaf plots. Check out my other video on box and whiskers, and then also check out my other one on mean, median, and mode. All right. So I got a whole bunch of numbers already set up here, and I just want to take you through how you actually come up with the stem and the leaves. All right. Most books set it up pretty straightforward where they just have the main segment here, and then they kind of have this like little line that usually goes across like that. Okay. First you got to set up the stem, okay, so the main segment. And usually they're going to have you list all the numbers here that are going to fall into this section or segment of numbers, okay? And what I mean by that is, well, we got to write down all of the values that we might have show up in here. So I'm just going to go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And if this doesn't make sense yet, that's okay, right? You're in the lesson. All right, so let's get through this quick. Now what you got to do is you're going to list all of the numbers in ascending order, so going from smallest to biggest. You're going to list them based on where they are here into this thing right here, okay? And what I mean by that is, well, you got to start with your smallest numbers first. Numbers 0 through 9, okay? And as many of them as you have, you just write them all in, okay? I got a 2. All right. Now, the reason I'm writing the 2 in the 0 column here is because if you were to look at the number, you could technically say it's 0, 2 would be the same thing as 2. Okay. If I put it here, now it's going to become a 1 and a 2, which is a 12, right? And we're not talking about 12, we're talking about 2. So in order to make sure that you don't confuse yourself and think that there's a number in front of it, we just use 0 as kind of like a placeholder. Okay, so, and what I personally do, and I teach this in my class, I cross them out as I go, because that way I know that I've hit all of those numbers and I make sure that I don't have anything that's missing. All right, what's another number less than 9 or 9 or lower? The 6. Okay, so I'm going to put that guy here. Some teachers will have you put commas in between the numbers. I personally, most books that I've seen just let you kind of list the numbers. Give yourself a little bit of space in between them, maybe like a finger's worth, just so that there's a little bit of room to define what it is you're doing, okay? All right, now what numbers start with a 1? Okay, well, and again, we want to try to write them in order. You guys should have pencil and paper, and if you make a mistake or they're out of order, or if you have a whole bunch of these and then you realize, oh, I totally forgot this one number, erase it, okay? Let's see here, my lowest number with a 1 would be 11, okay? So because I already have the 1 here, I'm just going to place the other 1 right there. So together, we have an 11. Let's see, what's the next biggest one? I got a 12, so I'm going to put a 2 there, right? Because it's a 1 and a 2 makes the 12. Let's see here, I think the next one is that 14. Yep, so I'm going to put a 4 here, okay, and cross that guy out. And then I got a 17, so I'm going to write that guy in, and then a 19 right there, okay? Now, you might be asking, why am I even doing this? Well, it's just another way of categorizing big batches of data or whatever you want to call it, okay? It's just another way of kind of being able to look at a whole bunch of numbers and say, you know, what is the pattern? What's going on with this thing, okay? That's really the basis for this, is being able to say, well, I have all of these scores on this test. Well, where did people score the most, right? Was it in the 10%, 20th, 30th percentile, something like that? Or these are the people that, these are their ages. What is the most common age? Sometimes that's hard to just look at a huge, massive amount of numbers and say, well, I don't know, it's probably like in the 40s. But if you use something like stem and leaf, then what you're able to do is order them or categorize them like this, and then it's very easy to see which values have the most things that showed up, okay? Just wanted to talk a little bit about this and give you some background. Let's see here, so I have 23, And again, like if you feel like you're getting it here and you want to pause the video and fill this thing in, I say go for it and then see what I end up doing. Let's see here. What else do I have? Oh, I have another 23. Okay, I purposely put 2 of these in here so that it would show up like this. When you have 2 of the same number, that's okay. Just write them in, just like I did, right? We have a 23 and a 23, okay? And then just keep going. Let's see, I got a 26 and a 27. I think that's it. So I have a 26 and a 27. And then what about my 30s? I got a 33, I think is the lowest one. And then I have a 34, and then I have a 38. And I'm going a little bit faster now because you should be catching on. Do I have any 40s? No, I don't, okay? So if you don't have any 40s, some teachers will want you to put a 0 here. I personally leave it blank because the 0 makes me think, oh, that means there's a 40, right? Because according to the rule, that's what it should mean. But I have seen that happen, okay? So some teachers will ask you to put a dash there or a 0. 0 should not be placed there because honestly, like now you're saying it's a 40, okay? So you should be having, if anything, you should have here like a dash or maybe just leave it blank. I encourage students to leave it blank. That way there's no question as to what is in this category, what came up in the 40s, nothing. And then I have a 50, I have a 55, so I would put that guy in like that, okay? Now you can do this with bigger amounts of numbers. I mean, you can do it in the hundreds and stuff like that. It really doesn't get much more complicated. The only way you can really make a mistake is if you don't cross them out and you miss numbers, okay? Or if you categorize them wrong or incorrectly when it comes to listing them like this. But by doing this, now we're able to say, oh, well, the majority of people scored, or the majority of the people in this class or test group were between the ages of 11 and 19, right? Or whatever the case may be. These were the ones that showed up the most, and it kind of like went up and then kind of like trickled down this way, okay? So again, it's just a general way for organizing information and then being able to represent it graphically in a more concise way. Because just looking at these numbers, it's very difficult to decide, well, what is the average? What is the number that shows up the most? What is going on here? And this definitely makes it a little bit easier, okay? So check out my other videos, subscribe today. Thanks for watching.